Hi, this is Jeff Dee, the host of the Nonprofits Atheist Podcast. The Nonprofits is made possible by volunteers and the generous support of listeners like you. If the promotion of positive atheist culture and the separation of church and state are values you hold dear, please consider contributing by becoming an ACA member or visiting our product page at evolvefish.com under the Partner tab. Thank you.
Upstairs left us years ago, so there ain't no fake except the one you make, and there ain't no hell except the shit you take every day. So don't tell me life doesn't hurt, and then you don't need the people cause you got your church. You gotta take your head out of the sky, because there ain't nothing there but the satellites.
And we are the Non-Prophets. I am Denis Loubet, and along with Jeff Dee and Russell Glasser, we, the dead, are coming to you, the living, on the 17th of May, 2017, from the Austin Free Thought Library. I know you have many questions, but know that before the mobs came, we were sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a non-profit educational organization for the promotion of positive atheism and the separation of church and state. If you want to learn more about our failure and our fate, you can call their voicemail at 512-220-6561 or visit their website at www.atheist-community.org. Now we speak from the land of the dead every first and third Wednesday of each month from 7:30 to 9 Central Time. If you wish, you can join the seance and communicate with us by following the directions at www.nonprofitsradio.com. So light your candles, join the circle, summon our presence, and we will abide.
Jeez, Dennis. Wow. It's the downerest opening we've ever had.
Hey, babe. So
you planning on bringing us back to life in your outro at the end of the show?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
No.
We are doing a once in a while thing where we actually air video on our show that now goes out on Ustream and YouTube, and I just want to say, where did we get that graphic intro? Because it's probably on all the time because you don't need video of us to see that. But I had never noticed it before. It's kind of cool.
It's a big flaming microphone,
lightning bolts.
Cool.
Is this a video going out live as well? Is that the deal?
Yeah, it's being live cast. I see some people in the
Hi, everybody.
The Nonprofits YouTube channel.
We should have a vision of hell behind us on the green screen.
So you can see what we look like in our little studio. So there is so much to talk about today. Only a big chunk of it we can't, because we're not that kind of show.
Let the record show.
I just want for posterity to mention, just to place this episode in time, that today was the day that a special prosecutor was appointed to investigate the connections between Donald Trump and Russia and various other things.
Which officially we have no position on, because it's not that kind of show.
It's not that kind of show.
Well, we're all for justice.
It's a major. If there had been some other major historical moment, it might be worth mentioning, just so people watching this in years to come can look back and go, yes, they were there when that went down.
Right.
For the record, before the show started, we were all a little bit lamenting that we wouldn't just quit this show and start an all-political show.
Oh, don't say that. Now we'll get all kinds of letters
But
saying,
we're not going to say...
We'll get as many letters saying, no, don't do it. Atheism needs you. As we'll get people going, yeah, we really want to hear you talk about politics, so yeah.
But why all our listeners
But we're
talk in
not
that
going
voice,
to.
I have no idea.
Screw the atheist community of Austin. Who needs... well,
as
the
the,
ACA is a hugely important
as
organization.
a now
We are
second-term president of the Atheist Community of Austin, as of this weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Don't screw the Atheist Community of Austin.
Yeah, no.
And don't think we're not looking into your Russian ties.
I'm just saying that's what some listeners will say because they don't care.
Yes.
They don't care, man. They just want us to make with the jokes and the commentary and
That's
the
right.
insights and things,
Yeah.
which we will now endeavor to do. Shall we start then with some news that we can talk about?
Sure.
That
This,
it's not that we couldn't talk about the other news; it's just that we couldn't say what we want to say.
Right.
yeah.
But we can say what we've done recently.
Oh,
Sure,
yeah.
you want to do that?
Sure.
What have you done recently?
I've recently
What have you done for us
delved
lately,
into the
Loubet?
world of car wrapping.
But
That's not singing about cars.
I was going to ask, yeah.
It's all those cars you see driving down the road with advertisements wrapped around them, with photos wrapped around them. It's weird world of vinyl wrap. Wrapping cars in vinyl with images on them. And because I'm working
So you're
on
doing that now,
on
or
a
what?
project that requires a VR pod to be wrapped.
I see.
And so I had to actually go to various places and talk to the people there and say, with a scale model, and say, do you think you can wrap this? And the answer I got was, yes, but it'll be really difficult because it's like a VW Bug, the old VW,
Yeah.
because it's got not only a curve going over the top one way, but over the top the other. And it's like trying to wrap a sphere, which is, I imagine, the worst case scenario for vehicle
I
wrapping.
see. So what you going to do?
Should be interesting. Well, it'll be a challenge. We'll see.
I see. You're going to do it anyway.
We're going to do it anyway.
Okay. Cool. Well, I spent this past weekend at ChupacabraCon, which is a gaming convention in Round Rock, Texas, not far from here, and had a great time.
Cool.
ChupacabraCon has been going on for a few years, and it's a small convention, but very well thought of. Gets a lot of people coming in from far away.
I got to play Old Style Champions while I was there. That was a trip. I had missed it.
And I got to run sessions of my games and sell stuff to folks.
Yeah.
Didn't get a chance to play anything. I mean, other than as a GM. Actually, that's not true because my partner Talshmere ran our other games, and I had to play in one of those. So for a little bit. That's what I've been up to, Russell.
Yep. Well, in addition to hosting a new round of elections,
At the ACA.
yes, at the ACA. What have I been doing?
I don't know.
Just
You're
working
asking
more.
us. We can make something up for you.
You could have taken all this time to figure
know.
out what you'd been doing.
I rewatched all of The Good Place like in one
Yes.
night.
That's awesome, isn't it?
So good. Can't recommend it enough to listeners. Also, a couple of weeks ago, I was on the Atheist Experience with Phil Session, who is now our new vice president of the Atheist Community of Austin. And he had Rebecca Vitzman as our guest, who you may remember as our special guest at the last Bat Cruise. She is one of the directors for the humanist disaster recovery team on the Foundation Beyond Belief, and she was plugging an event of some sort in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
They got like a big humanist disaster planned there.
Yeah, there was well, it already happened last year. There was a big storm, and it was called the worst natural disaster to hit the U.S. since Superstorm Sandy. And apparently a bunch of people are going out there to help rebuild some stuff and put in some drywall. And I'm like 90% leaning toward taking a road trip with Phil and
Not a bad idea.
maybe one or two other people from the ACA.
Cool. Actually
to Baton Rouge.
lifting a finger to do something instead of just sitting here in a chair like we usually do. Well, good for you, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Good for you. So,
Yeah.
let's start with some news that we can talk about.
All right.
Okay.
I guess we didn't start.
This news
proceed with
is somewhat political, but it's safely far off in another country.
Sure.
Stephen Fry, who you may know from things. Depends on what kind of person, what kind of entertainment you consume.
Yes.
If you're into big, burly, deep-voiced British humor, then you might know Stephen Fry pretty well. But anyway, he was recently under investigation for blasphemy under a bullshit law in Ireland that somebody turned him in for.
It's weird because the interview over which he was accused happened quite some time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it took a long time for everybody to raise a stink.
Some people just have nothing better to do. Apparently, in this interview, he said that he could never respect a capricious, mean-minded, stupid God who creates a world full of injustice, which is pretty standard atheist
Seems
fare.
accurate to me, yeah.
So a viewer made a formal complaint against him from this interview in 2015. And they looked into it for a while. The Irish police did, and then they stopped it because they couldn't find enough people to be outraged over the actor's anti-God remarks.
And I suppose there was a distinct lack of spectral evidence.
Probably, yeah.
So how much of a news story is this really? I guess
Not that
the
much.
issue is that the law is still on the books.
Yeah.
Not that it is actually appears to be being used. It certainly wasn't in this case used to hurt anyone. Just gave Stephen Fry a bunch of publicity.
Yeah,
But I wonder
apparently-
what the possible sentences could have been.
Which is not a defense of the law. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying the news is not. This is a thing that's actually causing trouble right now. It's like here in the state of Texas, we've still got. What is it? A God oath in our for public officials that is not enforced anymore. It's stupid. It should go off the books, but it's not in the meat.
Shout out to the group Atheist Ireland, who have been fighting to get this thing taken off the books.
Good.
According to the all-knowing the Wikipedia Tribune, the
Wikipedia Tribune.
It was outlawed and required to be prohibited by the 1937 Constitution. The common law offense of blasphemous libel, applicable only to Christianity and last prosecuted in 1855, was ruled in 1999 to be incompatible with the Constitution's guarantee of religious equality. In 2009, there was a new offense. What is this?
You lose your place, Russell.
Yeah, kind of. But anyway, the continued existence of a blasphemy offense is controversial, with proponents of freedom of speech and freedom of religion arguing it should be removed. The government formed in 2016 has committed to holding a referendum on abolishing the constitutional offense. So that's good.
Well,
news.
there we go. And that effort has gotten a bunch of publicity now, too, I imagine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that should go away.
Let's see. Stephen Fry, I don't know. Nothing much else recent because the offensive comments happened 2 years ago. So the quote offensive.
Yes, and you can watch
Right.
that video on YouTube. If you look it
Yes.
up.
So make sure to publicize
Who
that
was he
thing.
talking to? Does it say in the story who he was talking to?
Some well-known media figure.
It just would help people with their
on the
YouTube
interview.
YouTube searches if they knew the other person.
Oh, yeah. The other person would be Gay Byrne.
Gay Byrne.
Yes, Byrne is spelled Byrne, and gay is spelled the usual way.
Yeah.
The usual way.
The usual way.
All righty. So we got some listener mail.
Mm-hmm.
Which might not be a surprise since we took 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean,
Because it would have been just me, folks. It would have been just me here last time.
Yeah, I was
by myself.
super sick when that happened.
Yeah. Greg writes, Jeff mentioned how adultery is considered equivalent to child molestation or even stealing a candy bar as a child. He's sort of referring to our discussion about the fact that there's really only one punishment for doing anything wrong in Christianity.
Right.
And that's,
Yes.
and that's
yes,
hell.
that's it. Okay.
For some reason, perhaps all denominations, it goes beyond that. A person who tells a single lie sometime in their life or has a lustful thought is a sinner worthy of hell just as much as a person who has raped and murdered 100 children.
Yeah, that is the Ray Comfort core argument right there, is going around bugging people about whether they've ever told a lie.
Yep.
The punishment, hell, is the same, but so is the way out, accepting Jesus. It is difficult to argue that their God has any moral standards when he is indifferent to the harm any action causes. This is something Matt has said on the other show. Paraphrasing, hopefully, if morality isn't about well-being, he doesn't care what God might think because it isn't what he considers morality to be about. It's also beyond me how they can argue morals come from God when no one agrees with this view. Well, that's not, I don't know where you're getting that, Greg. There's a whole thing called divine command theory where that is exactly what they agree with.
Yeah, and the convenient thing
not every Christian subscribes to divine command theory, and I don't personally understand how it is that they don't, because that's every version of Christianity I've ever heard is that ultimately you've got the divine lawgiver. So
yeah, the convenient thing about having God as the moral authority is that he's not actually updating those commands, and there's this thing that they engage in called interpretation, which conveniently leaves them with a mishmash of weird, archaic morality that they are okay with, and then the stuff that they're not really okay with, they just massage a little,
interpret out of existence
until it matches the thing they already want to believe.
Right. And God, being the ultimate lawgiver, also lets them keep their hands clean.
Mm-hmm.
Well, right.
Hey, it's not me saying you deserve
God
to be
said
eternally tortured, but you do.
Right. I imagine even the guy you quoted would say that the person who has raped and murdered a child is worse than the person who tells his wife that he doesn't like the color of her new dress. I'd be very surprised if he felt they both deserve the same sort of punishment. Well, dude, I believe the guy we were talking to was your apologist of the week, right? Who we were discussing, right? Wasn't that how that came up?
It was a month ago.
And that is, in fact, where that line of thinking goes.
Yeah.
He might agree that one is worse than the other, but I think he would also agree that they both deserve the same punishment because, even when you go there, what they're going to say is, oh, well, Adam and Eve and the apple, right? The fruit.
Sure.
Therefore, everybody already deserves, so it doesn't really matter. That's why it doesn't matter whether he's worse or not, because we all deserve to go and deserve the same sort of punishment. Never mind the fact we had nothing to do with the frickin' fruit thing.
Right.
So, Yeah, I'm not sure what we've added to the discussion here, Greg. Anything you guys want to comment on?
I don't know.
Not really.
Right.
We know the philosophy behind it, such as it is.
Yeah.
We just think it's weird.
Yeah, attempting to
Agreed.
shame Christians into looking at what they say is not sure how effective it is.
Well, it's worth a try.
Always.
I don't feel shame like we do.
That's a horrific thing to say.
Yes, it is.
Russell?
Yeah. So a number of people have submitted a story this week, which is very easy to do if you're on Twitter. Just post any link at any time with the hashtag nonprofits news. But a lot of people tried to share with me this story about a pastor being eaten by crocodiles when he tried to walk on water.
I saw that all over the place today.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that has been all over the place. And I think this is a good moment to talk about skepticism. So I'm really annoyed with our leader for trying to appropriate the word fake news to just mean
I thought
the
as
phrase fake news.
as the new president of the ACA, you were our leader, Russell.
Well, yeah, but
I mean our president. You can say president.
yes.
It doesn't make it like
All right.
worse if you identify the political figure you're talking
President Trump
Yeah.
has gotten really fond of latching on to the phrase fake news.
Right.
And it is a trick that some political figures like to pull when they take something that they use or take advantage of a lot and then just overuse the shit out of that term to apply to other people so that it basically loses its punch. So you say, well, this is just fake news that's propping up whatever. And they're like, oh, I've been saying fake news all the time. So
Right.
they're just
Everybody
copying
rolls
me.
their eyes and ignores. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, fake news was becoming a lot more prominent people taking notice of it in the last year because it's all over the place. It's sort of getting more and more baked into the way that we consume our news through these viral sources where people repeat the same stories and then they see them posted in multiple places because they've all copied each other.
Right. It must be true.
Yeah, and so things take on a life of their own. Anyway, this story about crocodiles that's been all over the place was claiming that stop that. Speaking of obnoxious news websites, I've got this thing filling up half the screen. But yeah, it turns out that which is just
hippos.
Now, yeah,
It was hippos, right?
yeah, it
hippos?
wasn't a crocodile at all. That's
Happy
ridiculous.
Okay. And he wasn't entirely eaten; just nibbled on him a bit.
Yeah,
They stole one of his shoes. Sorry.
The claim was that it was this pastor in Zimbabwe, which is naturally hilarious to Western readers because, Zimbabwe is the silly country name that you come up with when you're trying to fake some backwater African place, right? They
Speak for yourself. Dude.
not me. Anyway, Pastor Jonathan Mthethwa allegedly was trying to walk on water and then fell in and got eaten by crocodiles. Ha ha ha.
He did walk on water, and it was vultures because he was up in the air.
Yeah. The way that I was able to conclude that this story was fake, because you don't want to just see somebody else saying this story is fake and then be like, oh, well, that settles it. But they were able to point to the same story with the same names being printed last year on something called nationalnewsbulletin.com, which it's always handy to be able to look at these sites and look at the top of the bar and see something like the About Us link, which has one sentence in it. It says, pure African satire.
There you go.
All right, then.
And the thing about news is fake news is not just that people are lazy and don't do their research and things get printed as news that are mistakes, sometimes they're actually straight up fake and they still get passed around as if they're true.
Right.
So
There's
this
a
is one of
surprising
those
number
cases.
of people who don't know that The Onion is a satire site.
Yeah. And this is a soapbox I get on a lot. It's not just The Onion's fault because The Onion is funny. And
Oh, yeah.
it's
No,
pretty-
I'm not
it's
downing The Onion.
pretty
They're awesome.
rare it happens, but people do mistake The Onion for real news. But then there are all these copycat sites which also post fake news
And they don't get it.
are not funny.
No.
So this story is funny to the people that posted it at National News Bulletin. Can you find us another story from National News Bulletin? I'm just trying to get a grasp of their sense of
Get in the
humor
note
because
homepage.
man eaten by crocodiles isn't funny. It's trying to walk on water is the funny,
Right.
and it's awfully anti-religion kind of funny.
Having more than
Yes,
3
it is.
children will be punishable by
Oh,
death
that's
in
funny.
2018, says Minister of Home Affairs.
That's freaking hilarious.
I mean,
it's not.
Or is it?
I mean, it is certainly over the top, and
Yeah.
I admit that as kind of a biased Westerner, I'm momentarily tempted to think, oh yeah, that's just something they do in those countries. But even if you're living in that country and this is obviously not true, this isn't a joke. This is 1984. I mean, this is dystopian future fiction.
Yeah.
You have to actually say something comic in addition to saying something implausible is the problem with this kind of satire.
I would think, yeah. All right. So not true and not very funny.
Yeah.
Except to, those of us who just laugh at any time any religious people get in trouble.
Here's a headline in National News Bulletin. It says, Donald Trump talk about South African farm attacks and white genocide.
That's the headline.
Yeah,
Not
that's
even
the
a joke.
headline.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, great. So there did we establish whether there even is such a person as was identified in the story? Or is he
it
made
is
up?
a
All
not
made up.
funny onion. It's completely made up.
Okay.
Well, you got to admit, there's a certain irony implied in the whole thing.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
There is the germ of a funny story in there.
Yeah.
Hey, we have special. Oh my God!
What?
Look what's behind us.
Oh, all right. We're going to be eaten by crocodiles.
And
Kaiju.
that will be extremely ironic in some way.
Oh, do I have an appropriate? No,
Free
I don't-
thinkers
I don't
eaten
have.
by
I don't have a
crocodile.
letter that has anything to do with this. I'm just going to jump to this one. Graham from Edmonton writes, "Whatever happened to the Godless Bitches podcast? I just recently stumbled across the website for the podcast, and my interest was immediately piqued. But it seems there hasn't been an episode in over 3 years. What became of it? Well,
They got eaten by crocodiles.
they got eaten.
My God.
No, they didn't.
See, that was funny because it was a callback.
That's how these
Yeah.
stories appear,
It's always nice to find places where I can hear from outspoken women in the atheist movement. I've found that I have to make an effort to find such content since content from men seems to be a bit more forthcoming in general. Forthcoming? Common, because the word is common.
Yeah.
I presume that this is because of stigmas against women expressing controversial views publicly. At no point did anybody say, no, we're not going to have women on this show because they should be expressing their views publicly. We had us three guys on this show because we're the original 3 guys that started this show. And
that's not true.
Well,
It was you and me and-
not at the very, very, very beginning. Right. We had Mary McManamy.
Yeah.
Yes, we had a woman in the original show. But the image that made it onto the website is us 3.
Yep.
True.
So there was sort of there's that.
But
wow. Okay.
That sounds bad.
I'm an idiot. I'm
Nobody
officially
shut
an idiot
down
now.
the Godless Bitches. It was originally launched by Beth Presswood, and she just got too busy or something, and like the three other women who were also doing it, you all know Jen Peoples, Tracy Harris, and also occasionally my wife, Linnea Glasser, just didn't want to pick it up again. I mean, I think they all liked just doing it, but
they were too busy making dinner and having babies and things. Now, there. I've completely dug myself a pit.
Boy.
Because
Man.
just accidentally misspeaking before was not enough. I really needed to stick the knife into myself.
Yeah.
And twist.
I know that there's interest in various corners about having more all-women shows. Maybe not necessarily by that name, but you know, different opinions about it. I'd really like to see and encourage it. And in general, to the women in our audience, it's not that hard to start a podcast, and you should try it because it's good to have more of those voices out there.
And every time that we need to have somebody sit in on the show because somebody's out, we try to have it make it a woman or Martin Wagner.
Yeah.
What is that supposed to mean?
Okay, well then.
You look back over our history, we have had women and Martin Wagner as guests on the show.
Right.
Doesn't mean anything. It's just the way it is.
But yeah, most of our bench is women, and if they wanted to be on more often,
we would have to figure something out because
Yeah.
we have us three as the regulars. So,
Right.
but it's
people
not,
get busy.
It's not. There's no kind of active effort to keep them off. And if there's a passive one, well, you know, that's something we need to keep in mind and try to work against.
But I will do my bit by mentioning to all of them that I come across that another person wished that they were back.
I would like to just take this moment. I brought this up recently. I'd just like to make this a public thing where I officially invite the Godless Bitches to come in and sit in our slot and just have our show.
Oh, yeah.
One of these days. Anytime they feel like it. Anytime they can get their group together. They can just kick us right out and do the show.
If they, I mean, even
that would be awesome.
And then they should have, and then to be fair, they should have us be the Godless Bitches for one episode of their show.
We'll be their bitches. Yeah.
We'll all talk in falsetto,
No.
Won't be necessary any more than it'll be necessary for them to put on deep guy voices.
I'm Jeff Dee.
All right. Okay then. So now you know.
Yeah.
Oh, and Graham ends on as a side note, Jeff, your Canadian accent is basically a Doug and Bob McKenzie accent. No one really talks like that, but it is hilarious nonetheless.
I object. Somebody must talk like that.
Well, those two comedians talked like that.
They sure do, yeah. But I mean, they must be doing something they're familiar with, so it's crazy, but not that crazy.
That's not necessarily the case. They may have just made it up. Mm-hmm. I make up half the voices I do from pretty much nowhere.
I am told that the stereotypical Valley Girl accent was completely made up by the daughter of Frank Zappa, or was it somebody like that?
I can't say I heard it myself.
Yeah. So trivia there.
All I've done is heard it on TV shows and stuff like that. So it's like, how do I know what's real and what's not?
Right. Fake news.
That means I have to go to California myself and talk to girls in the valley and find out what they sound like.
Right.
Or pain in the ass.
Just hunt for it on YouTube. But
did it then actually catch on and become a thing?
That's a question.
I think it became a popular movie thing, which is almost as good as catching on in real life.
Because then people take it from the movies into real life, and
I mean,
life
there are so
art.
many things that people believe is the way things are, just because that has become the movie standard.
Yeah.
And again, it's just movies copying other movies.
Right.
Like you know, just to throw out a random example, somehow the myth got created that if you're selling drugs and you ask the person if they're a cop, they legally have to tell you the truth. There isn't even any remote basis for that in reality, but it's something that all shows seem to have settled on.
Yeah.
Right. We really shouldn't let TV and movies dictate our culture.
Right.
But too late.
Yeah, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
This show is brought to you by tvtropes.com. And I'm about to ruin somebody's life who's never heard of that site before.
Oh, yeah.
Go there now.
And stay forever.
How about some more news there, Russell?
Yeah. This, I don't know if this qualifies as news, but thanks anyway. Twinner42 on Twitter. Vatican hosts world's leading cosmologists to bring together faith and science. This is some kind of fluff piece about a thing the Pope is doing.
No,
On
they're
cbc.ca.
They're not bringing together faith and science. They're not. Because they're different things. Mm-hmm. They're bringing together oil and water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can put them in close proximity. That much you can do.
So I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it's not out there enough to be a shit internet apologist say. But it is a lot of fluff. The Vatican is celebrating the Big Bang Theory. That's not as out of this world as it sounds.
Oh, good grief.
Yeah, it's one of those authors. The Vatican Observatory has invited some of the world's
Valley Girl authors, apparently.
Invited some of the world's leading scientists and cosmologists to talk black holes, gravitational waves,
I stand corrected. That's that now.
And space-time singularities, as it honors a Jesuit cosmologist considered one of the fathers of the idea that the universe began with a gigantic explosion.
Oh, good grief. Would the Catholic Church please stop peeing all over science and claiming it as their own now?
Right.
So it's got to be one or the other with those idiots, right? Either they're completely against it, they say it's wrong and evil, or they have to take credit for it.
I call it cultural appropriation, damn it. Religion is culturally appropriating science.
The May 9th through 12th, well, this is short, so I'm just going to get through it. The May 9th through 12th conference honoring Monsignor Georges Lemaitre is being held at the Vatican Observatory, founded by Pope Leo the 13th. Had to work on my Roman numeral for a second.
Right.
In 1891, to help correct the notion that the Roman Catholic Church was hostile to science.
For fuck's sake.
The perception has persisted in some circles since Galileo's heresy trial 400 years ago.
And Giordano Bruno.
Yeah.
The list is long.
The perception that the Catholic Church has tried to foster, I think, is, actually that was the Protestants or something.
Right.
I mean, it was really both. I've looked into the history on that, and there were very loud factions for both Catholics and Protestants who hated this guy.
Okay.
Wow.
Anyway, the head of the observatory says you can believe in both God and the Big Bang Theory. Well, no shit. You can believe in one true thing and one false thing. There you go.
Gag me with a spoon.
Oh my God.
Attempts to pander to facts. No, sorry.
Well, I got something Catholic here. Ken says, demonic possession is something I see talked about all the time. From Catholic exorcisms, casting out demons, to summoning them with occult magic.
I hardly ever see it.
From the Christians that I have talked to, they tell me demons are fallen angels that were talked about in Revelations, and God made hell in order to lock them away and punish them for their uprising against him. However, this brings out a question that has always bothered me. Can a demon leave hell? As I understand it, God made hell to give eternal punishment to the demons, yet this flies in the face of those who believe demons can possess people.
Look,
Right. What are they doing outside of hell?
I have been playing through Doom 2016 on my Xbox, and
Yeah?
I can conclusively say that demons can leave hell and go to Mars.
Okay.
They don't possess you, though.
No,
Those are
well,
non-possessing demons.
no,
Go to
they just
Mars?
kinda kill
What do you
you.
mean Mars? Is there Mars?
have you
in-
not
Yeah.
played a Doom game?
Not lately, I imagine.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's all on
They don't
Mars,
possess you, though, dude.
except Doom 2. I'm just establishing my game.
And they
cred,
also
but-
they also get all cybered up and stuff.
yeah, it's awesome.
The only way this would be possible is if a demon could leave hell. All right, put on your imagination caps, kids.
That's
What are
right.
some other ways a demon could possess you without leaving hell?
Uh,
They
Well, he
can do
possesses
it
you-
remotely.
He possesses you spiritually. Right?
You guys have seen
hasn't
Avatar,
actually
right?
left hell.
You could have a demon sitting in some kind of like tanning bed like thing and projecting their mind into somebody else.
That's right. He's
somewhere
basically
else.
piloting a drone.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
He can call somebody up and tell them, "Hey, do this for me," and then people will do
Could be
that
Sure,
for
that's
them.
a
Could be a
fairly
brand-
low tech way.
Yeah.
Could be a brand new demon just out of heaven, right? On his way down, engages in
Yeah.
a little possession before he gets caught. And
Now, wait, are there angels still getting kicked out of heaven?
I don't know. I just made that up.
That's an interesting idea in
but
itself.
you know, Ken, when you start talking about magic, it's really difficult
I know.
to put clamps on it and say, oh, the only way that could be true is if X.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
with
now
magic-
you've gone too far.
With magic, all things are possible. And
That's
you'll
right.
notice if you swap out the word God, it's the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is why Jesus is magic.
Right.
Abracadabra.
This brings about many different questions I would love for you guys to talk about, such as, if demons can leave hell, then doesn't that mean they are not eternally punished? Well,
Why in particular is he interested in having us make up these stories?
because he thinks we're clever and will.
Yeah.
Well,
I
we
hope that that's
are,
what it
but-
means.
Well,
Or he thinks we'll make jokes.
True.
And that'll be funny.
The weird thing is, all the depictions of hell show the demons torturing the people.
Yeah.
They don't seem to be tortured themselves.
Right. The
They
torture
seem to
for
be
the,
employees of Satan,
for the
who's an employee of God.
For the most part, the demons seem to enjoy doing the torturing, as far as
Yeah,
I've seen
yeah,
from
they
a
seem to
wide
have
range
fun.
of literature.
and Earth is generally depicted as like the neutral ground on which angels and demons can both go, and they
Right.
fight it out.
They
in
vie for
us,
souls,
which
yeah.
is what you'd want in a decent mythology, right? Because you're
Right.
coming up with magical explanations for things that happen here. You got to have your demons out and around, or at least able to influence things here.
Yeah.
Same thing with your angels.
Your villains
in order
have to be
that
present.
in order that you can turn off your brain and just claim that everything that happens is because angels and demons.
Right.
If it's a good thing, it's angels.
It's angels.
If it's a bad thing, it's
It's
demons.
Sure.
How convenient.
I mean, here's a demon who obviously enjoys it.
What are you doing?
Scars are evil, you won't miss them. We'll find
I just
ways
like
to
this song.
simulate that smell. What a sorry fella, rolled up in smoke like a granatella. Here
All right.
one love robot hell.
That's the greatest. That's the greatest radio ever.
Yeah.
Even though we are on TV, that's not on camera. So
Yeah.
nobody knows what you're doing.
They said they saw me turn the microphone down. I think.
Yeah.
That's true. So what was that?
Anyway, that was Robot Hell from Futurama.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Man.
These are questions that I've asked Christians, and they've always ended with, I'm going to have to look this up and get back to you. But they never do.
Guess what? It's not there.
So I'm hoping you can play a little devil's advocate for me. Yeah. So,
Most of all this stuff you hear about, different angels and stuff, it's all made up by the Catholic Church, as far as I know.
You know, the kind of the priority in addressing religious claims is like the most common and problem-causing claims first.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just not.
Yeah, no.
It's
It's
cute, but
as an exercise for the imagination.
Sure,
it's fun.
Sure. Just remember, Ken, you know, with magic, you can just always make shit up.
Yeah.
Because that's what magic is. It's made up.
And that's all of it is.
That's why people who don't actually know anything love it so much.
Yeah.
And the rest of us love it because it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. But I mean, I just find it more interesting to talk about the mindset of people who believe those things. I don't know if I'm all that into spinning stories about the things unless it's with an ironic twist. I don't know.
We talked about some other TV during this episode. Anybody watching Lucifer?
Oh yeah.
No, I haven't been. Is it good?
It's good. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Then they've over time tightened up on like my biggest beef with it, which was I didn't quite get Lucifer's motivation on the show. And I think I kind of get it now. So that's better.
Yeah.
I just had.
I've been watching. You introduced me to it, so now I've been watching some Rick and Morty.
Sure.
Oh,
and that is freaking insane.
100 years, rickandmorty.com.
rickandmorty.tv.rickandmorty.100years.com. You probably haven't gotten there.
Yeah. Is it seem painfully obvious to you guys that is Marty McFly?
It is obviously a psychotic.
What was the name of the professor? Dr. Brown. What was his name? The rest of his name?
Emmett
Brown.
Emmett L. Brown. Okay. Shoot, I knew what the L was for.
Cool.
So you think maybe it was Emmett and Marty originally, and then they couldn't get the rights? So close.
I don't know, but I mean, there's like a documentary on Back to the Future fandom on Netflix, which liberally includes interviews with the creator of Rick and Morty.
Oh,
so
cool.
I mean,
just saying they were.
It's not just you.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are parallels.
Yeah, it's fun, and you know, big atheism shout out in episode 1.
Yes.
There's no God. You have to get rid of that. What did he call it? Like life preserver or something. Get rid of that now. There's no God.
Yeah.
I'd rather that we heard that from some character who is not a drunken lunatic.
Yeah,
but there you go.
We'll take it where we get with atheism and entertainment in general. One thing that was really hilarious that the guy just did on YouTube or something was there was this. Yeah, the guy who does the voices of Rick and Morty was sent a transcript of some ridiculous actual trial that happened like, I don't know, Georgia or Louisiana, Mississippi, I think.
And he voiced it.
And he voiced both parts as Rick and Morty, and it was glorious.
Was this the defendant who was just like insulting the judge?
Yes.
I heard that a long time ago.
Rick and
That's
Morty
the guy? Okay. Cool. There.
Let me Google it just so people will
dive deep into pop culture here, and I hope
that's
right. Too many people.
It's one of those days on this show.
No, you don't want to play it.
No, I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to Google it so that people can.
Okay.
So that I can tell people how to find it. But no, keep talking.
Hurry up.
Russell. I didn't want you to just. I'm going as fast as I can, Rick.
We're gonna make a lot of money on these links we share with our viewers.
The video is called Judge Morty, State of Georgia versus Rick Allen.
Okay.
It is Georgia. I was right in the first thing I said.
All right. So, so that's nice. How about some news?
Oh shit!
I just did.
We don't have any of that.
I did the demons thing.
Yeah, you did. Oh, okay. Wait, we still got 10 minutes before that. Let's see. Well, here's something that was posted on Friendly Atheist blog. Scientology centers in Tennessee.
Oh, wait. Yeah?
shut down after patients found imprisoned against their will.
Oh,
I saw that.
This one was submitted on Facebook, but I'm not going to sit here and hunt down who it was. Sorry. I appreciate you, Facebook person. All facilities operated by the Church of Scientology in Cannon County, Tennessee, have reportedly been closed down after local police discovered a man being held against his will.
Do we know this is not fake news? I had to go there.
It's probably not. Okay, it was posted, just so people can look it up later. It's posted in the Cannon Courier. The Cannon County Sheriff's Department would like to make the general public of this county aware that the Scientology facilities are closed and not operating in Cannon County, a statement from the Sheriff's Office said. Attorney David Vale, representing some of the individuals involved in the case, said the facilities were not operated by the Church of Scientology. What? The 16th Judicial District of the state of Tennessee, Cannon County, has charged 3 suspects in this case. Circuit Judge David Bragg ruled in his final deposition of the case, disposition? I think it should be deposition of the cases that all facilities in Cannon County are closed and will not operate any resident facilities in Cannon County, Tennessee. Now, of course, this could just be a case of a super Christian judge shutting down a thing, using an excuse.
Yeah.
But
it's Scientology. So.
Yeah, it's probably true.
We're showing our bias there, but come on.
It's a
pretty well-deserved, earned bias.
Yeah. The man who was being held there explains that he came to have rehab and get cleansed through Scientology, and then he was stuck there for 9 months.
Wow.
In a small room with a single bed with just one sheet, and the bathroom being the only room that had a light. Ugh.
Wow. Wonderful.
Well, is he cleansed now?
Well, he better be. I hope all those thetans are out of him by now.
Yeah.
I hope that Xenu is banished from his life or whatever.
Okay. How am we doing on time?
We're at 8:22. We got another 40 minus minutes.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I got 2 very long listener mails.
Oh, go for it. I'm running out of news.
Let's go for the longest one.
It's a slow month.
Anne says, I'm the child of 2 non-theistic parents and was never given any lies, religious or otherwise, by my parents or the rest of my family. So I'm not really sure what it's like to believe or even to think that belief is a good thing.
Same here.
Easter is terribly confusing when you're presented with eggs, bunnies, and men nailed to crosses without any sort of explanation.
Yes.
Did you go through this, Dennis? Because you're the one of us that was raised completely not.
Well,
I'm sorry. You were raised in a Christianish environment without any with your family
weren't involved in it, but in school we would see. In early grades, we would see things like the littlest angel, and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I always thought of it as entertainment.
Okay.
I never thought of it as anything that people actually believed.
When I asked a friend of mine, he was shocked that I had no idea what Easter was and had never attended a church service. I kept telling him that none of what he was saying made any sense. Why does the act of believing that a man woke up after 3 days in a cave mean that Christians get to go to heaven? He eventually got very frustrated with my confusion and his inability to explain and told me, well, people have got to believe in something because life isn't perfect.
Wow, that is the lamest defense of your own beliefs that I ever heard.
That's awesome.
Life isn't perfect, therefore, bleh. Yeah.
What do you mean this car you're trying to sell me flies?
Well, life isn't perfect, so buy the car. What do you mean?
People got to believe in something.
No, they don't. Marty. It's this fundamental confusion between good and perfect when talking to Christians that makes me crazy because it's difficult to counter quickly. The Christian usually doesn't realize that they're doing it and denies it when questioned. Ravi's list, I believe, referencing your
Ravi Zacharias.
Yeah. Your from last episode, was a perfect example of this. All of his statements, disguised as questions, had an assumption that amounted to people and the real world are imperfect, so clearly they can't be at all good. As if that made any sense at all. Wow. Furthermore, once he's made the leap from imperfection to badness, he and many other Christians then say that badness is unsalvageable. Well, they don't exactly say that. They say they do say you can't be made good, but they say you can avoid responsibility for it.
Right.
For your badness.
They say you can avoid perfect justice.
Once they've made the real world miserable and unfixable, a Christian can say that God is the only salvation. It allows them a cop-out in reality. Why fix the world when it's meaningless? And comfort in their minds for any miseries they see. But for their magic man in the sky will fix it all, somehow, always exactly as they desire.
What a coincidence.
I guess as the God desires, not as the Christian desires. Christians struggle with their faith periodically when they don't get what they personally desired, but the whole organization, the whole institution is all about crushing those doubts and dragging them kicking and screaming back into the fold.
And it's worked really well historically. I mean, we're at a point where this guy, his beliefs enjoy a certain special social status where he apparently could go most of his life without hearing anybody contradict it or say something as basic as, well, that doesn't make any sense to me. And so his whole answer was, what do you mean? Or that you have to believe something.
Right. So why not this? Why not this particular, very specific, weird thing?
Right. Like, it seems like a lot of the time these people's beliefs don't have any sort of well thought out foundation. It's just that's the way things are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed. And goes on. I find many Christians to be far more nihilistic than I could ever imagine being because of that mentality. The ills of life are given an apathetic shrug because their God is ineffable and capricious, and this life is a mere doormat to the next.
Right.
They believe in their God despite all evidence, and so they stumble blindly through life, acting only to secure their place in the next world. Except that's not really true. Because you'll find them having jobs and paying the bills, right?
Yeah.
It's more like, I think a fairer, more accurate way of presenting it is not that they stumble blindly through life, is that they go ahead and stumble incompetently through life, right? Because they think it ultimately doesn't matter. But they want to avoid, the cops as much as anybody else. So for the most part, they'll behave for them, and they'd rather not live out in the street until they go to heaven.
They want to make this life.
For the most part, they'll try to pay their rent, but they have this safety net. Anytime they fuck up, they can fob it off on demons or whatever.
Yeah, they want to make this life as temporary as it is, as pleasant as possible for themselves.
And I mean,
Well, except that's not true either, because you could make this life a lot more pleasant for yourself if you didn't believe all this crap.
Yeah.
And when you have, a Christian pastor who's very successful and heard by a lot of people, what do they start asking for a lot of?
Money.
Yeah, and sex.
Well, and cars,
but not
and jets.
not as openly. They openly ask for the money.
Yeah. This she's going on about Christians. This is my only existence, and there are no do-overs or cleanup crews in this world. Why would I waste my time being like, but there's no eternal sky, Daddy? What will I do with my life? It's something I can only imagine a Christian thinking because they don't wish to admit to themselves that they wasted their Sundays and felt irrational guilt over ordinary things. Masturbation, for example. So they comfort themselves by saying that they at least have a security blanket when their doubts come calling in the middle of the night.
Yep.
Yeah, for the most part, I think we agree with you. But it's, I think it's, the whole thing is a little bit more subtle and complex than that, because it's a very efficient system for keeping people under control.
Yeah.
And if it was exactly as dumb as that, a lot more people would see through it.
We hope.
There's whole structures in place to spread and enforce these beliefs.
Yeah, spread and maintain.
I just wanted to get that off my chest. Hope it made you think of things in a different way, or at least entertained you some. And I should mention,
Yes.
Anne also sent us this nice drawing of the three of us as superheroes.
Cool.
As an attachment to an email. Thank you for that,
Oh,
Anne.
nice.
If I had known with sufficient advance notice that we were going to be on camera today, why I'd have brought the picture in, but I didn't think of it. So, sorry about that. Okay, Russell.
Yeah, my
back
turn.
to you, sir.
Since I like to give proper credit, I did.
Except for that last time.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm going back and saying that the Scientology story was submitted by Matt DeGear on Facebook. So thanks, Matt.
Oh.
I do this as a little incentive for people to help do my work for
Right,
me
of
before the
course.
show.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate everybody who actually does that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give today is a day when I can't narrow down what I'm going to do for my segment. So I got two choices for you.
Oh, boy.
I've been hanging on to this thing. Stop me if I've already done this one, because I have been known to double book things. But somebody sent me this brochure that they found from, I think, Ken Ham, was it?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, Ken Ham, Answers in Genesis. But also, Skeptic Mom, who contributes so very much to the show on Twitter, highlighted for me some tips from the Christian Post. They are 5 steps for finding freedom from porn and masturbation.
Wow.
Which is topical. I can always save
much as it's always fun
these.
to talk about porn and masturbation.
Yes.
Since we are on camera, I think it would be especially appropriate for you to do the
All
pamphlet
right.
thing, because it's slightly more visual.
Sure. All props go to Mark Anderson in Toledo, Ohio, who said, "Wow, I don't know that he wanted me to give all his personal identifying information." Oops. I don't usually do that.
Too late now.
Sorry, you posted it all. Anyway, he walked into the lunchroom at work and found a magazine.
PO box number.
Yeah. Don't put the camera on that. He walked into the lunchroom at work and found a wonderful magazine entitled Answers in Genesis lying on the table.
Okay.
And here are 2 articles from the magazine. I used the rest of the magazine to wrap fish. Womp womp.
Okay.
Yeah, very glossy articles ripped out of this magazine. It's
got zebras on the back
Yeah, on the
page.
back it's got zebras. See?
Zebras.
Uh-huh.
They are proof of something.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even sure that there's an over... Okay, well, I'm just going to start reading.
How could the zebra have like alternating black and white stripes if they weren't put there by some supernatural being with a paintbrush?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. And so this is going to be shit internet apologists say.
We have
Oh,
a
look,
little.
it's
got a little.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
We have a little shit mascot.
Wow. You people who aren't watching the live video are missing out.
I think that's going to call for an actual logo. That's going to be here. Russ. It's going to be like a little word balloon with that thing in it. Okay. All right.
And if we're lucky, this is just going to roll into our inbox
like that?
in the next few weeks.
That nobody else can see.
Yeah.
That's a cartoon.
Cool.
Go ahead.
Sure. All right, this first article is titled "Atheism is Religion."
Oh,
Yep. That's a pretty standard one.
Yeah, it is.
Almost all. This is Ken Ham and Bodhi Hodge speaking, but I'm going to assume it's just Ken Ham, so I can say almost all atheists claim that because supposedly there is no God, their own worldview is not a religion. Many of them would argue that they have a non-belief.
Yes, we would, and we'd be absolutely correct.
One of the definitions of religion in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, however, is this: a cause, principle, or system of belief held with ardor and faith.
Right. And that's still
Where's
not
the
atheism.
system? Show us the atheist
It's
system.
not a system, and where's the faith?
Yeah. To be fair, it could be. I mean, some people feel very strongly about their atheism.
Yeah. Yes, it could be held with ardor, and you didn't hear Dennis or I complain about that bit.
Right. So can being a football fan.
Sure.
I mean, this
is that a religion?
I have a whole stack of responses to this argument because I've been hearing it for years and years and years.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that one... Okay, never mind. I'm just going to keep reading.
Yeah.
Atheism certainly fits that definition, and many of its adherents are quite zealous about their faith system.
Oh, brother.
Atheists have an active belief system with views concerning origins, that the universe and life arose by natural processes, no life after death, the existence of God, how to behave while alive, and so much more.
Whoa, man. shoveling so much baggage onto the word atheism. That's amazing.
Well, we do have very commonly held views on those subjects.
Yeah.
Often.
But they're not held by faith, and they're not pronouncements. We don't go around saying there isn't an afterlife. We go around saying, look, the evidence is that this and this and this happen. That's what we have evidence for. That much is worth believing. That's it.
Yep.
Right. To the best of our understanding, this is what we think. Show me, show me compelling reasons to change, and probably I will. One candid atheist has written, and my attitude is not based on science, but rather on faith. The absence of a creator, the non-existence of God, is my childhood faith, my adult belief, unshakable and holy.
And of course, you can find one of anybody, of any group, who will say a thing.
So
who is the person?
There is an asterisk, and I had to go to the end of the article, and it is attributed to George Klein, The Atheist in the Holy City, MIT Press, 1990.
Who the hell is that?
So
you
can't even find anyone
found a person who calls himself an atheist and said that. Congratulations.
Yes. I mean, send that guy over to me, and I will argue with him if he's still alive. It's not like, I mean, I feel like oftentimes I spend more time arguing with other atheists than with believers.
Well, atheists are legendarily argumentative.
You don't say.
No, actually, I do say. And
no, you don't.
No.
So there. Okay.
This secular anti-God religion of atheism is growing. Yay!
Yeah, good.
Thank you for noticing.
Atheism is all around us in various forms. It is practiced and funded by almost all government schools. Oh, there's another one. That's come up a lot.
Bullshit. Because the government schools never say that kids, you are to not believe in God. Never, 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 never. That's not their job, and I'd be against it if they did.
Yep.
About 90% of children from our church homes attend government schools. Your kids and grandkids have likely been adversely influenced by this religion, and they may not have even realized it. Actually, however, there are no true atheists, just those who claim to be.
Now, the thing is, dude, you got hold of the wrong end of the stick. There is something going on in public schools that informs public schools and is used when they decide what to teach and what not to teach. But it's not atheism. It's the same thing that leads a bunch of people to atheism on the question of religion. There's that much in common. But the thing is evidence-based reasoning. That is a thing that we find in the public schools. But basing a thing on evidence is not atheism. It's just smart.
Yeah. It's rational.
Yeah. I'm trying to, I feel like there is a contradiction here when he says there are no true atheists after he got through
talking about
arguing
atheists.
about atheism.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
I'm not quite
that would
nailing
be a
down.
Yeah, we kind of know where he's going from here.
Right. The all-knowing God of the Bible informs us that he has made it evident to all people that he exists, but that unbelievers try to suppress that knowledge.
Okay.
Romans 1.
Right. How would that be to our advantage?
Sorry, dude, bullshit. You can believe that as much as you like, but there is no evidence that the reason why we say we don't believe in your that we're saying we don't believe in your God, but we really do. Your claim in your book isn't evidence.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
But he thinks it is.
If he thinks there aren't any real atheists, what does he think all those schools are doing?
Yeah.
To promote atheism.
Well, they're trying to get the kids to hide the knowledge that they know God.
Right.
But they're not atheists, so
right. We aren't either, Russell. You and I aren't either, according to him. And so, what are we doing this for? Well, we're doing this to get other people to jump on the pretending God doesn't exist bandwagon. Woohoo! See, that's what we're apparently all about in the imagination of Ken Ham.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Canned Ham.
Canned Ham.
It's all a giant conspiracy theory, you see.
Yeah.
It's all a giant conspiracy. All atheists really know there really is a God, but what he thinks is our percentage in pretending that there isn't one, I've no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can say, "Oh, it's so that we can go ahead and do sins." Right? But if, in fact, we actually believe in the God, then that's bullshit. Because pretending that there isn't a God wouldn't let us do the sins, because we'd still know that there was one, and that doing the sins would get us in trouble.
And not believing God would be a sin right there. So it's like,
Right.
This goes on for quite a while.
I'm sure it does.
There are actually two articles he sent me, but I'm
talk.
thinking now that I might just finish the one and then save the other one for later.
Sure.
Yeah, so now I have 2 weeks worth of backed up stuff.
Heart do.
So anyway, to continue, and some of these paragraphs are underlined with helpful comments like, what?
Oh, great.
Oh, no, underlined by the guy that sent the thing.
Yes.
Not in the magazine.
So I'm skimming a little more, though. Secular humanist religions like evolution, atheism, and agnosticism are part and parcel of the same belief system. These worldviews have free reign with tax-supported dollars, not only in America, but also in the UK, Australia, Germany, and many other countries.
He almost said that right. There is a thing. Mm-hmm. There is a general, relatively pervasive thing that gives rise to all those other things. And it's evidence-based reasoning.
Right.
And he's against that.
Well, of course.
Can't have that.
No.
I mean, okay, so I can... And I'm familiar with Ken Ham. It's not like it's the first time I've heard
this is not
this
a surprise.
stuff. But I mean,
he's a regular. He's got a voice and everything.
Yeah. I'm seeing what must the world look like to Ken Ham, because he's taking these things which are as you say, like evidence-based systems, like being aware that evolution happened, accepting the scientific consensus on various things, and then he is tying them to atheism so that people who believe true and well-supported things are also lumped in with atheists, which is kind of a difficult position to be taking, because even people who are trying their best to be reasonable, well-informed people are being called atheists by Ken Ham. People who are just basically educated, who go to schools and learn stuff about the mainstream knowledge that our society has gathered. And he says that's schools teaching atheism. Like, isn't he in the end he's doing us a favor?
But what he's done is he's found a common thread, which he hasn't identified, but it's evidence-based reasoning, and put atheism in that category, and then named the entire category atheism,
right?
Which is wrong, right, in the terminology, but kind of correct in the structure. It just that there's nothing special about atheism in that category. Atheism is a reasonable conclusion based on the evidence, just as all those other things are.
Right.
So it doesn't strike me as incomprehensible what he's doing. It's just mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah. There is this is the part where our listener said, "What?" Yeah. There is a simple way to test our claim that a worldview is not non-religious. The proof that atheism is a religion.
Okay. Not non-religious.
Yeah.
You mean a way to prove that it is religious?
Ken Ham is, nobody accuses him of being a master wordsmith.
Yeah.
Because after all, good grammar is atheism.
Yes.
If atheism really isn't religious, then why do atheists strongly oppose religious claims? Their approach is illogical.
Wait. So,
wow.
If medical science isn't a disease, then why is medical science all about stopping diseases?
Right.
Is that what he's saying?
That's exactly what he's saying.
The logic there just bowled me over.
That's amazing.
Anyone who claims they're not religious and then makes judgments about religious topics,
if Kevlar isn't a bullet, if a bulletproof jacket isn't a weapon, why are people always wearing them to stop themselves from being hit by bullets? It doesn't make any sense. Obviously, the only way you stop a bullet is with another bullet, and suddenly I'm in right-wing land.
Wow. Does atheism oppose the religious claim that God exists? Again, yes. Thus, atheism is religious.
No. Sorry, dude. That doesn't even begin to be right.
So, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of another metaphor like Jeff just used in the realm of things people believe.
Does a word have the letter R in it? Yeah. If it does, and religion has an R in it, then obviously they're both
well, atheism doesn't have an R. But it does have an E.
There you go. Theism and atheism both have isms in them.
Yeah, they're both religions.
And one's a religion.
Yeah. I take it back. I said I had heard this argument before, but this is possibly the worst argument against atheism.
The worst formulation of it?
Yeah. Like a uniquely bad argument against atheism that we are just encountering.
Well, it's the equivalent of just crossing your arms and going, nuh-uh, nuh-uh, and just denying everything and just saying, well, you believe it too. And people say, no. And they go, nuh-uh.
Right.
It's like, God, how do you...
Yeah.
You deal with
Everything,
little
all
children
things
like that.
are also the opposite thing. Don't you
Right.
know that?
That's
Wow.
what homeopathy is based on, right?
Right, and then there's of course the stuff. Well, not playing baseball is a sport.
Right.
Bald is a hair color.
Yep. Well, but also baseball is football. Because, I mean,
Right.
why do they spend so much time not running towards a goal carrying a football?
There you go.
They must really be football.
All right. Wow. Yeah, that's some of the dumbest stuff I've ever heard.
Yep.
Um,
Why do vegetarians spend all their time not eating meat?
they must, in fact, be carnivores.
Yes.
This is fun.
All
right.
Is there more?
Well, I mean, a lot more, but the last
anything-
paragraph, the third and final volume of Answers in Genesis's World Religions and Cults series of books, see page 10 of this magazine, deals with secular and atheist religions. It is a powerful resource for laymen and Christian leaders as they engage in the blah, 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 send me money.
Now, wait a minute.
I don't think he's
There
giving his
are
books away for
such
free.
things as secular religions,
Sure.
and there are such things as atheistic religions.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to think of a good
I'm
example
not that
for this.
familiar with them.
Buddhism is atheistic.
Yeah. I'm not that familiar with Buddhism.
Okay, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
There's an actual
yeah.
thing.
I've heard this many times.
But it just because that's like saying there is an apple in that box, therefore that box is an apple.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
No,
Yeah. That doesn't
Not
work.
right.
doesn't work that way.
Not actually right.
You can't. These are just fundamental things about how stuff works. All right. Are we done?
There are.
Yeah, I'm done with
there
that
are-
one.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay.
Tune in another time, and thank you, Mark, for sending us that.
Yeah, that was.
There are forms of baseball that don't use
That
a
was a
ball.
walk down weird town.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, I'm checking chat occasionally and seeing that there was some kind of audio problem, maybe with the video stream.
I saw that the
camera
video froze for a moment.
Yeah, but also no, they know, but I'm just letting the listeners who might be confused know.
Listeners who are on the
We can't show Dennis.
listeners who are on the
Dun,
chat,
dun.
but not watching the video.
Right.
Well, I don't know. Does the audio wind up sounding weird on just the audio stream, or is it the YouTube channel only? I don't know.
Everywhere.
Oh, okay. So apparently, every time they switch cameras, and I've
there's
seen this
weird.
happen
Dennis.
before. Actually, Martin Wagner, who's a film guy, told me once that that you want to have your cameras like running on battery only because when you change the video, like electrical impulses can screw with the sound.
Oh, wow.
So how bad is it? Do we need to redo the show?
No. It's just
I guess I'll just listen later and I'll find out.
yeah. It's probably a minor nuisance every time there's a cut, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we
Just a little staticky.
for the rest of the show we're not showing any Dennis. Sorry.
Well, are we only showing Russell? Because okay, there we go. Zoom in on me, eh? Okay,
Another Canadian letter.
Welcome to the atheist, the nonprofits, eh?
Oh, man.
I'm Jeff. Who should I be? Jeff Dawkins, and this is my brother, Russell Dawkins. Say hello, Russell.
Hello, Russell.
Okay. There. That was just for Graham from Edmonton.
Hey.
All right. So I guess I should do my last letter that I have that's long.
Mm-hmm.
Not as quite as long.
Put on my toque.
Can we get more beers here?
And back bacon.
You have to ask for beers.
Need
and
some back bacon.
if you're going to do the Great White North. Eh?
God, we're old.
Okay. I wish they'd bring that back, because that was a good show. Greg from Seattle wrote, I was a devout Christian when I You know what? I'm going to just stop here for a moment. You know what else was awesome? Was Father Guido Sarducci.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I recently posted on my Facebook wall a link to like a YouTube video that was like 2 of his albums back to back. It's excellent stuff. Just there. Back to Greg. Greg from Seattle wrote,
fine comedian.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's nothing like Father Guido Sarducci.
Sorry.
I was a devout Christian when I graduated high school and decided to go to a private Christian university. Well, there's your problem, Greg. I had always been interested in philosophy and felt safe questioning my beliefs in that environment. Okay.
Oh boy.
I gained a skeptical mindset from my classes on psychology and philosophy, and my religious beliefs began to slowly fade until I became a non-Christian theist. I ended up in an email exchange with Tracy Harris. Shout out to Tracy.
Yay.
And she was able to see right through my bullshit.
She's good.
It only took me a couple more months for me to become an atheist, although I was initially uncomfortable with the label.
Yeah.
I preferred the term agnostic at first, but have since accepted that a person can be both an agnostic and an atheist under the most common definitions of the terms. I have Neil deGrasse Tyson to thank for that whole confusion. You mean, hopefully you mean
resolving the
confusion, not for generating the confusion. And my earliest encounter with that way of looking at atheism versus theism and Gnosticism versus agnosticism way predates Neil deGrasse Tyson, and it's actually from a book by a guy who was a fan of what's her name, the objectivist,
Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand.
Oh God.
But I agreed with that bit of it. It's bizarre to see how some theists will try to twist logic and straw man their way through arguments.
Oh, yeah.
I occasionally have lapses in judgment where I visit philosophy-related chat rooms. Okay. With my educational background, I'm able to identify and articulate a person's logical fallacies with relative ease. Unfortunately, some people that I've encountered don't have the same level of education when it comes to logical fallacies and will fail to see the errors even when they're pointed out.
I imagine that doesn't make you terribly popular either.
Damn right they do. Yeah. Occasionally I'll find a level-headed theist and have a good discussion, but the reasonable ones typically aren't behaving in a confrontational manner.
Right.
Last week, one confused person seemed to walk away with the impression that he had destroyed me, but actually had made a complete ass of himself. When someone starts using logical fallacies left and right, do you have any tips for clearly exposing the bullshit? Well, my first tip is do not ever expect that exposing the bullshit will have any effect on the person with whom you are interacting.
Right.
Because for many, many, many possible reasons, right? First, they may simply be incapable.
Yeah.
Right? They could just be, it could be beyond their mental capabilities.
And it's hard for some people to accept that fact. I mean, for some reasonable people.
And two, they've been indoctrinated, many of them, with a belief system which says that if you say a thing which makes them seem like they're wrong, then the problem is that you are a bad person and not that they are wrong.
Right.
And in general, and this is the most, fair and open way of looking at it, human beings in general have a hard time accepting that they have been wrong about things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We've all experienced this ourselves. We have all been wrong about things and had a hard time getting over it. Except, well, maybe not you with the religion thing, according to your story, but But you must know what I'm talking about because you're a human.
Oh yeah.
It's tough. And, that guy who went away with all his bluster about how he destroyed you, my partner, Tal Shamir, has one of the wisest sayings I've ever heard, which is, you cannot unhear good advice. Mm-hmm. Even if it doesn't immediately have any effect, even if it never has any effect, right? You have inserted the memes of the things you said into that person's memory, where they will sit and perhaps have some kind of effect. And that's all you can ever reasonably expect. Sometimes you will get more than that. And that's, I'm sure Tracy is dancing a little jig. I made an atheist. Yay. Maybe not. Maybe not a jig. Could be some kind of a hula dance. And that's great, but you're not going to get that every time. Don't expect to get it every time. Don't expect it to get it most times. In fact, the less you expect it, the nicer it is when it happens.
Right.
So that. So don't go in there doing what you're doing for the sake of changing that one person's mind.
Right.
Do it for the sake of being seen by other people, which is why years and years and years ago, before there was really the internet as we know it today, and there were just chat rooms, there was Usenet. And Dennis and I both cut our teeth on Usenet, arguing with theists. I long ago learned to refuse to have private conversations in chat with theists. Not interested. And I won't respond to private emails from theists. Not interested. Because I have no expectation of making any headway with that person. What I can do is, in front of an audience, show that I can destroy a theist's arguments, right? And other theists who are not the direct targets of that are actually in a slightly better position to accept it, I think. So, and certainly people who are fence sitters, which are, I think, probably most of the real potential audience. The fence sitters will notice when you've won and the other guy got his ass handed to him.
Yeah.
Anything else, dudes? More comments for?
No, that's good.
Comments for Greg?
I mean, I have some thoughts, but maybe we'll talk over dinner instead. I don't want to drag stuff out.
And here's Greg's last sentence. Even if I can't break through to the person I'm talking to, I don't want to give an uneducated bystander the impression that we're arguing on the same level. Oh, so you don't. I think you don't have to worry about the other about your opponent's denials when you come up with when you point out logical fallacies. What I do is I've bookmarked a great website, which is yourfallacy.com or something, right? And it's got a nice little list of the major logical fallacies and links you can drop into your post, and it will take people right to a full explanation of what it is you're talking about, right? So you don't have to repeat yourself every time. Yeah. That's enough for the bystanders who may not know what you're talking about to go look and see by reading about what you just referenced whether you made any sense. And that's enough. That's enough. You don't even, because even if you're expecting the bystanders to come down from the stands when you're done and cheer you on and say, "Oh, thank you, you've opened my eyes," that's also probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about just, continuing to be a pressure in favor of making some
continuous
kind of
gentle
sense.
Pressure.
Yeah.
Be a ratchet.
So, does that mean we're out of time?
We're out of time.
We're out of time, everyone.
Several minutes.
Thanks for listening and, in this case, watching. In some cases.
So we won't be visible every week, but it's a fun thing to try every once in a while.
Yeah.
Oh, and watch all the time or listen.
Dennis?
The energies ebb and flow, and our time with you has drawn to a close. Summon us yet again in 3 weeks on the 7th of June, and we will manifest. But hark, can you hear? It is I Am the Satellite by Brian Steeksma. and it calls us home.
Hey there, brother, don't you know the guy upstairs left us years ago? So there ain't no fake except the one you make, and there ain't no hell except the shit you take every day. So don't tell me life doesn't hurt, and then you don't need the people cause you got your church. You gotta take your head out of the sky because there ain't